I hope everyone is having a good lead into your weekend, that you've had a good week. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. I know there's varying levels of thoughts on that, whether you're single or not. I have decided that I will open some mini reads for tomorrow. Depending, I don't have my watch on. I stopped wearing my watch because I cannot stand the constant buzzing, especially with all these spam calls. And if somebody really needs me, they'll get in touch with me. And also, as I teach others, we are allowed to not be on call for everyone 24/7. If there's an emergency, people will get to us. Don't know why I felt called to share that with you, but we will see. All right, so there are a few decks that I've pulled out. We've got the Crow Tarot by MJ Cullinane. We've got the Angels and Auras Oracle by Valentine and Dougal Fraser. We've got the Divine Masters Oracle by Kyle Gray. I haven't used this one as much because I'm not as familiar with it, but I love Kyle Gray. Radley and Kyle were two of the people that did the Hay House tarot course that I did years ago. So very cool to use decks from those people that I'm not like acquainted with, but it's always nice when you can kind of associate things. There we go. All right, so let's see where we're feeling called to go first. I also have the Priestess of Light Oracle. I feel like that's going to come out at some point, but right now we need a starting point. Oh, and I have the Light Seers Tarot. So I brought out quite a few decks. This is Chris Ann, and the Priestess of Light is Sandra Ann Taylor and Kimberly Weber. This is the Light Seers. I have a pocket version of the deck. So let's see where we're feeling called to. I will put those mini reading times up. Probably won't have time to do any tonight, but look at tomorrow. So with these decks, I try to shuffle them before I put them back in their boxes, but we're going to do a couple of shuffles. I know. Shuffles take up some of the time. All right, let's see what's coming out for today. What needs to be the focus as we come up on this Valentine's Day weekend? We've got the Empress, and I'm hearing self-love. So regardless of what your romantic situation, this is a time where it's focusing on, like, as I'm seeing the moon and the little like dots around it, whether that's like other moons orbiting or stars or whatever that's supposed to represent, like I'm seeing it as you being able to look into the things that need to come to surface for you. And then I'm seeing these emotions. Well, I say emotions because I see this, it looks to me like bird feathers, but at the same time, it kind of looks like an ocean wave coming up over her shoulder. So that's the way I interpret the card most of the time, even though I do intuitive readings. So I feel like this is being able to allow yourself to just calm, to stop for a moment and ask yourself, what do I need? What is going to help me to feel nourished and nurtured, regardless of what is going on for me? Now, with the Empress and that pregnant belly with the image of the world on it, this doesn't necessarily mean a baby coming or birthing something, but I feel like you are, what I'm hearing is, this is you starting to develop your own world, your own sense of the world, what it means to you to be in the world. So like, we come up with all these expectations. We're socialized in different ways, and that can be depending on gender, that can be depending on the area you live in, the country you live in, the culture you come from whatever. That's part of why with the course I did, what module 2 is unlearning identity. Because sometimes the things that you think are your identity or the things that you feel like you're supposed to do are just the expectations. It's the perceptions. This is why common sense is not actually common sense. It depends on what is common in your family in the area you grew up in. So it's not necessarily that everybody should know this. It may seem like it, but sometimes people haven't been exposed to or learned the same things that you have. And sometimes what we think is common sense is just that we developed a way that we feel things are easier, more efficient, or whatever. And then you just expect, well, since this is easy and this is efficient and this is the way that it's supposed to be done. So I feel like this is you being able to uncover the things that you learned in the past and that you took on, and that can even be caring for others above yourself, and be able to say it's okay for me to let go of the anxieties. Like, look at all this yellow, and then we have just this little bit of orange and red down here. So being able to ground yourself and also bring that to the root chakra and sacral chakra, bring it into more of a balance. So with that orange, that intimacy, that play, that passion, creativity, joy being a big one. So, what supports me? What helps me to feel less anxious? What helps me to feel more comfortable in my body is what I'm hearing. So, what nurtures you? I love that. That blue right now is also not just like water, like looking like bird wings. And I did find a blue jay feather the other day. Unfortunately, it ended up being because something had attacked a blue jay. So I did my Reiki energy, gratitude, healing, the things that I do. I can't even tell you because I do it in the moment intuitively, sending love to the bird, even though I didn't actually see the bird, which I'm kind of grateful for. But anyway, the reason I'm telling you that is because even in things that are difficult, or I mean, it's the cycle of life, but it's still brutal, that you can find beauty and gratitude. So that I feel like that's important for things that you're releasing, and also to know that the blue jay can be representative of that throat chakra, speaking your truth, communicating clearly, understanding other people in a different way. But I'm really seeing it more as you being able to communicate your needs and communicate your truth in a way that you feel more heard, that you feel like regardless of whether others accept what you say, I said what I said. I said what I said. So it's you kind of being able to not go into a place where you're being blunt, forceful, hardcore, this is this, but just kind of this is my truth. This is what I expect. This is what I'm willing to do. And then you're moving forward. Boundaries, Seven of Swords. And this is why the boundaries are necessary. Because if we are not setting those boundaries, if we are not clear with what we want, yeah, the moon is here illuminating things, but it feels like it's illuminating it in a way where we're vulnerable. So notice you've got this crow down here, and the crow's mouth is open. It's calling out. This person is in the moonlight, so they're not hidden. And here's somebody saying, look, there they are. And so if you're not focused on taking care of yourself, you may feel more exposed or vulnerable. It can feel like that you're not able to take care of yourself and focus on yourself because you're having to focus on so many other things. So this is kind of in alignment with some of the stuff I've been posting, and also the reason that it's just a bra strap, Rebecca. You don't have to keep pulling at your shirt because of those expectations, those things that we've been trained to do. They're ingrained in our body, but it's okay to let them go, because you may feel like others are watching you and judging you, and maybe they are. Like, here even are two other crows, and they're not necessarily called as vocal as this one, but they're still like, one of them has their mouth open, the other one's kind of thinking about it. Like, they're like, do I alert, do I not alert? And some things don't require an alert. So that's what I'm seeing, is like things that you haven't, and maybe that's why I wore this shirt without a tank top and I keep pulling it up, is vulnerability is part of the underlying piece of this message, that vulnerability stills the ability to take care of ourselves. Because for some people, they may be like the crow and they're calling everybody else out and judging them because they don't want to seem vulnerable. And then you have the more empathic person who maybe their trauma responses to fawn, or even their socialization means that they're more likely to fawn. And so that means that they're more likely to do things to try to make others happy and anticipate others' needs. So it's like two different sides. I feel like I said this earlier, maybe in the reading that or not reading, the message, the video that I tried to record earlier, words. Yeah, vulnerability has a spectrum just like anything else does, where on one end of the spectrum, you have the person with the traits that may seem more narcissistic. And that's because in order to avoid feeling vulnerable, in order to avoid feeling like they don't have power or control because of the things that have happened to them before, they try to dominate and take control over others and not be, whether it's their perception or not, on the bottom. And that's like the extreme end. And then on the other extreme end, you've got the person who may, and I'm not putting anyone down because I identify as empathic. But we have to learn to be empowered empaths, because I've been in that other empathic state where you're just absorbing and taking in everything for everyone because you understand the hurt and you don't want others to feel it. So both of these people have hurt, right? Or both of these situations, there's hurt, but it's about how we choose to move forward with that. Like, are you hurting other people because you've been hurt and you don't want to be in a position where you get hurt again? Are you taking care of everybody else except for yourself because you've been hurt and you don't want for people to feel hurt or to hurt you? And then, like I said, there's a whole range of things in between, like even people who may associate that their worth is only good if they're doing this, 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 or that. So we won't get into all of those. I don't want to give you a lecture. You already know the things, but I feel like that's the energy that we're coming from. So where we're already at 13 minutes, let's switch it up a little bit. And I'm feeling called to definitely the Angels and Auras, Radley, Valentine, and Dougal Fraser. I'm going to shuffle hearing one time. So what needs to be healed? We'll go with this since it wanted to flip. Have confidence, which is 25. So that breaks down to a 7. Strength, balance, prepared, and tranquil. And there are 7 items on the stick that she's holding as she walks across that balancing beam. And this is about balance. I don't think I talked about it in this video, maybe another, like I have had balance tattooed on my arm since 2017, 2018, because that's my hashtag goals, right? And so it's about finding balance between all the things, balance between time, money. There's medical here. There's the dove, which could represent so many things, whether that's peace or even if it's being able to manage loss and things that we've had. There's a heart, so balancing that heart chakra, education, and even our connection with ourselves and the divine. So there's so many things that we have in our lives that we may have to feel like we need to balance. But if you don't have the confidence, you don't feel like that you can handle and manage what comes to you, it's going to feel more overwhelming. It's going to feel like you're walking a tightrope through this mountainous area where there is this huge cavern, cliff, I don't know, gorge, I don't know, I'm hearing all the words. So it's about having strength, balance, being or feeling prepared, and being tranquil. And that can sound like a whole lot to try to manage at one time. But if we're not confident in ourselves and our abilities, that doubt makes us feel scattered. We may feel passive. We may feel tense. And that's when we get into these more defensive, like I see the strength card and I discuss it, like it's not roaring like a lion. That's not the strength that necessarily is true strength, but it's also not necessarily pushing ourselves to the point that, like, I don't necessarily like when people say the martyr, because I think a lot of times when people are in these spaces. It's not that we're trying to martyr ourselves. It's that we're trying so hard to not take up space, to not necessarily get attention, to help other people. But you do it to your own detriment. So it does put you in a position where it can feel like you're always exhausting yourself for others. And both of those, like I said, are just different ways that we lean into that defensiveness that we may feel. So let's see if anything else is coming out of the angels and auras. I feel like this is a good message for the day before Valentine's Day because, I mean, when it comes to love, vulnerability is one of the biggest pieces, because when you allow yourself to open your heart, like, look, the heart's right there in the middle. And I always say, I see the heart chakra, even though there are more chakras than the Western 7. I see the heart chakra as kind of like the key, the middle, the balance of all of them. You have to do things from a heart space, or you may close your heart off and it becomes very imbalanced. And so with Valentine's Day, whether we're in a relationship or not, it can feel like there's a lot of pressure to experience certain emotions or to have certain situations. We may start reviewing, again, the moon in both of these cards, we may start reviewing those past hurts, those past situations, and not see them for the lessons we learned or how things changed in a positive way. We may start putting ourselves down for it. Let's see. Let's go to the Divine Masters before we move on. This is the Divine Masters Oracle by Kyle Gray. So I didn't ask a question because I wanted to see if something would come out. So we have, and one of the reasons I'm not as familiar with Kyle Gray's The Divine Masters, I will be honest, is because some of the words I do not know the pronunciations for. And it was something I wanted. So this is my own insecurity, vulnerability that I'm sharing with you. I had wanted to be able to learn that a bit better before using the deck more. But a lot of things happen, and burnout, working a job and building a business, I didn't have the time. So this is where I'm bringing this back in with the have confidence. I decided today I was just going to pull the deck out because it's been calling to me for weeks and I haven't been using it. So I don't know if Kyle Gray gives, oh, I swear I'm always dropping these pronunciations for these. It does not necessarily look like it, but I will still look up the card. So we have Mott, I'm not sure, M-A''A''T, and I apologize. And I hope, I forget I have the microphone on. That wasn't too loud. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Divine intervention, weigh up your options, choose the highest good. Look at that yellow that I was talking about, even in that first card, like that solar plexus chakra is coming through so much. Even with the have confidence, being able to find the confidence for yourself. So let's look and see what the guidance is in the book for this one. Sometimes I try to go fast with these because I started becoming self-conscious my own self-conscious. That didn't make sense, but hopefully you understand at how long some of my readings were, because I recognize that people like sometimes the shorter readings because they don't have to necessarily sit and listen or watch or whatever for a long time. But then I've realized that the message is going to come through regardless. And some people, if they're more into the shorter videos, maybe there was something in the longer video that could have been a message for them. But if they didn't feel called to the longer video or to continue watching, then maybe there wasn't. And for the shorter videos, the messages, because my intention always is that they go to who they're needed, will get to who it needs to go to. And maybe it's just not in the time that I post them. But I always leave them up because when you see it is when it's for you. So with this card, it says, oh, thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Kyle Gray. He says it's pronounced Mayet. Mayet. I am sorry, Mayet. I should have looked at that already. See, this is why I said I need to go in Just like I'm getting more acquainted and familiar with the Abiola Abrams Secrets of the Ancestors deck, Oracle deck, because I'm doing the series right now where I do a card from, or at least one card, depending on what came out. I've already pre-pulled them for the days, yes. Of her deck and the Crystal Banner deck, Signs of the Times. So anyway, I do have the intention of learning these things. It's just my brain. I've had to slow down how much stuff I'm doing. And that's not easy when you're somebody who's always been go, go, go. But that's where that self-nurture comes in. So if you're resonating with the things I'm saying, it's because Spirit is telling you through me that it's okay to slow down and you've got to take care of yourself. All right. So Mayet is an ancient Egyptian deity associated with truth, harmony, and balance. I'm just going to leave it there. Part goddess and part ethereal being. She first appears during the Old Kingdom and is one of the most ancient forms of the goddess of justice, which makes sense. She's got her arms out. There's definitely a balance to this beautiful lady. She is depicted with wings, which are often associated with being in the heavens or being able to watch from above. She is therefore similar to what we now call an angel, a being who is watching over us from above. And notice that even with this first card, what I said looks to me like water or feathers and things like that, can also look a bit like angel wings. Let's see. Mayet has a golden energy and can be called upon for support in making important decisions or balancing the various aspects of our lives. She will help us make decisions that align with our values, which is perfect for this confidence card. As I said, one, we've got the solar plexus chakra talking about letting go of anxieties, building up that confidence. And then also it's talking about balancing different things. And we've talked about that throughout too. There's a spam call coming through because I forgot to put my phone in airplane mode. So if you see me looking at the screen, that is why. All right, your message. Before jumping in with both feet, stop for a moment. The message of the universe is to wait. Take some time and reflection before making any rash decisions, particularly if you are feeling emotionally fueled at this time. When emotions are high, they can drive us to make choices that are aligned to selfish needs rather than the highest good. Right now, the scales can tip in a direction that can change everything. So, Mayet is here to help you weigh your options before you proceed. If you're in a situation that involves another party, it's important to call in more light and harmony. Be open to the highest good unfolding for everyone. So I think that's a really good message. And I definitely understand why the Divine Masters Oracle by Kyle Gray was coming in for me, especially today with the message that we have here. We're going to continue because I feel like there's more that wants to come through. But again, with the 4 cards that we've had, it's very clear that part of this loving aspect, whether the energy is around Valentine's Day or not, when you see this, it's not about Valentine's Day. I just mentioned that because that's what's tomorrow and it triggers different emotions for different people. But it's about that regardless of the time of day, the time of year, the holiday, whatever, that you're focusing on balancing out these aspects of yourself and also finding a balance for yourself and understanding how your energy interacts with other people's energy and what's healthy, what's not, and how to even manage a balance within the energetic exchange, the relationship that you have with others. Let's go to the Crow Tarot. And what we're going to see is for your specific situation right now, what do you need to let go of? Because I feel like release is a big piece of this too. Like we've talked about what needs to come in. So we've got the 9 of Wands. So I feel like with this, it's saying, because I'm seeing the 10 of Wands and the person in the Rider-Waite, or in this, it's the crow with the bundle of sticks or bundle of wands, which is actually in this deck wrapped in an orange ribbon, which orange being sacral chakra color, you're being called to let go of all these things that you've held on to. And I'm seeing I'm going to say it wrong. Why is this video? Because it's about vulnerability. Calling me to say things I don't know how to pronounce. The Ho'oponopono. I think that's how you say it. Hawaiian prayer of forgiveness. Oh gosh, I can't remember the order of it now. I know it's I love you, please forgive. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you, thank you. That may not be the full words or the order, but I'm seeing that like this is being able to not just release, as in drop the sticks, drop the things, push them down, don't deal with them, but this is being called to acknowledge them. Yeah, because we have the moon in both of these cards. Like it's not just seeing the things that you haven't wanted to see, the things that have been hidden. It's acknowledging them and dealing with them. And dealing with them means that you acknowledge that they've happened, but you don't have to hold on to them. And in order to release them, there's a forgiveness of yourself that has to happen, because it's not that you even necessarily did anything wrong. This is where I was talking about the responsibility, taking responsibility and accountability in situations, because we do have choice. Maybe when you're a kid, you don't, but as an adult, we have a choice. You stay in the situation, you leave, you stay in the job, you leave, whatever it is. And it's not always that cut and dry, but it's being able to accept that choices we make lead to some of the things that we experience. And if we hold on to them, then they are going to feel more like a weight, more like a vulnerability, where at any time we can be triggered, or somebody may say or call out or do something that makes us feel like we're back in that space, or like we're this small person. And that's where instead you nurture yourself and you grow that confidence and say, it's okay that these things happened and it doesn't define me. And I feel like that's where Mayette is being called in to help heal those wounds and say, you are more than what happened to you. I bring up that Carl Jung quote quite a bit. I am not what happened to me, I'm what I choose to become, because it is true. Things happen to you, but you're not the things that happen to you. And your choices may feel limited. They may not feel like the best choices, but it's reminding yourself that you do still have a choice in how you react, how you respond, and what you do. The Two of Wands, as I was saying, it's about having that choice. And notice the balance, even within the card. You've got light on one side, darker colors on the other. I'm also seeing like sky colors here and earth colors here. And there's the world in the middle. We have these even like paradoxical or duality type things here at the bottom with the ocean waves, which can represent those emotions, like chaotic emotions. But then here are flowers, the white flowers, which remind me of dogwoods, maybe because that's a state flower where I'm from. But I think they're actually cherry blossoms. Either way, representing like new beginnings and the spring and things being lighter is how I'm feeling. So it's balancing those emotions so that you can have that lightness. You can find that nurturing and understanding that it's all connected. It's all part of life. My brain can't think of what the word I actually was going to say is. All right, anything else from the tarot deck? I notice that in this Two of Wands, there are two crows that are back to back here. And with all this paradoxical yin yang energy, I feel like this is saying that even with inside of ourselves, it's not just one or the other of these energies. There's the person who is more emotionally mature, more nurturing, things like that. And then there's also the reactive inner child, whatever that reaction is. And that's not necessarily how I want to put it, but I'm trying to also still be mindful of time. But within us, there are different aspects of ourselves. And it's not that either is right or wrong, it just is what it is. It's like, and I think I referenced this recently. I can't remember. I know I've referenced it at some point. Time sometimes is weird, but it's like that tale that is an indigenous tale, and I can't remember what nation it is attributed to, but where it talks about the two dogs or the two wolves and how they live inside of you and which one do you feed. So what you feed into, what you believe, what you focus on is how you will feel when things happen. Um, Even if they haven't happened, you perceive that it feels the same. Those emotional imprints, trauma, whatever you want to call it, is triggered. And so then you will respond with whatever it is that you're focusing on. If you're focusing on feeling like everyone's against you, you're going to respond when something even seems like everyone's against you. And maybe they aren't, but your brain said it was. You're going to respond that way. If you feel like everyone loves you, somebody may even be putting you down and you feel like, oh, well, thank you. You're thinking of me, whatever it is. Not that you have to be kind of catty like that, but what's within you, even being able to see the hurt in others, that's a beautiful gift and that's a good thing. However, there has to be a balance. You have to be able to balance it, like the world balancing on these two wands. It's you being able to take in the aspects of yourself, there we go, and find a balance between them. Anything else from the tarot? Not from this one I'm hearing. We're going to go back to the Light Seers tarot, and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay, that's quite a number of cards that came out, but is that what we're supposed to? Yeah. All right, we'll take them. They flew out. We'll go with it. So the first one is the Hierophant. And notice with this Hierophant in the Light Seers tarot, he's at the bottom of these golden stairs, and there's just this look of joy on his face. That's what I always love about this. And it's not even that he has like this spiritual teacher or anything. Like you can even connect with spirituality or your divine self, whatever it is, your higher knowing on your own. If you connect with a teacher, that's great. And you can learn things from them. But ultimately, it's like I would tell therapy clients in the past, you do the work. Like you could come and see me for months, for years, and you're still stuck in the same position if you don't do the work. But the fact that you are progressing, making progress, regardless of whether that feels like it's quick or not to you, that shows that you're putting in the work. And this is talking about you being able to not necessarily feel like you have to filter things through anyone else, that you have a connection yourself. And look at all that pink, that heart chakra that's coming through, and that sparkle. You are a divine being. Now, he also is very grounded, not only in his pose where he's sitting on the ground, but also in the dark clothing. He's very grounded, but he's also connected. And he's out in nature. He's just sitting on a pillow and just enjoying that connection. So it doesn't have to be, I feel like this is the other piece of it. It doesn't have to be like this big dramatic change, and it doesn't have to be this like planned out thing. If I do X, then Y will happen. Like even when I offer intuitive services or the course, the sessions, things like that, I'm not offering you a definitive result because I can't offer you a definitive result. What you get out of it is up to you. I offer you the information, the guidance, walking the journey with you while we're working together. I offer you encouragement. In therapy, some people would realize that I'll call you out if I need to. I'm not going to do it in a rude way, but just kind of like, well, So this is like you determine which one of these sides of yourself is present, and understanding that it's not one or the other, and it's not that one is bad and one is good or anything like that. It's that all of it is within you. Everything about you is already within you, and it's where you put your focus. Are you focusing on yourself and your growth? The Five of Swords is, I'm seeing this for you right now as the battle in the mind, where it's like you You're overthinking it. And that's why I felt called to say, you don't have to have a middleman. You don't have to have a plan. You don't have to do it a certain way. There's no set bar that you have to meet. You set that bar yourself. What is it that you want? What looks like progress to you? And it's you being open to assistance if it comes along, but being discerning about, is it right for me? Which means that even if you start something, you can still choose to not do it. And then I always see this person back here, way back here in the background. And I see that kind of as that aspect of freedom. And notice this. Oh, it's right. I was about to drop it on the ground again. Notice we've got this golden stairway that goes up into this luminous light. And here we've got this person releasing the overthinking, releasing the things that are holding them back from doing what they want. Arms spread open, complete freedom. And here's this luminous light, just like the one in here, that is leading them to the freedom, because you are the key to that feeling of freedom within yourself. These things that happened that triggered these responses, they happened. They shaped the way that you think, the way you respond, the way that you may engage with other people. But you still are the key. You still get to choose what you do now. So it's time to let go of that overthinking. With the Queen of Cups, she's sitting in this water and she is just chill, completely chill. And so this is talking about balancing those emotions. I talked about the emotions on the very first card with the Empress and feeling like that was kind of like the emotions coming over her shoulder, which can feel like a hug. It might be emotions where you have that emotional release or you feel that emotional connection, but it can also feel like a weight on your shoulders. So it's understanding that all of these things can be true individually or at the same time, but it doesn't have to stall you. That's not the word I'm looking for, but that's the only thing coming into my mind. And you don't have to be sneaking around like a thief in the night, trying to not let people see you. You can be seen and have that confidence and find balance at the same time, but you've got to choose it. And you can call in divine guidance. Maybe this is with the Hierophant. You call in Mayette. If that connects with you, have a look at information about her and connect in that way, or connect with any source information, whatever it is that is helpful to you, including always including yourself. So it's being able to feel balanced, because once you feel more balanced, these things that have happened, these things from the past, they're not going to affect you as much. You're not going to feel like you're constantly picking up these sticks. You know, one falls over, I got to pick it up. Oh, this one came back out again. That may happen, but you're going to feel more like you're understanding yourself, you're feeling more balanced, and you're feeling more at peace. Even when the emotions present, you're not overthinking it as much. You're like, okay, I'm going to allow myself to feel this, because we have to allow ourselves to feel emotions. And it's going to feel frustrating, but I'm going to put a cap on how long I let myself overthink. And that's even a technique that when I did therapy, we use with clients, is like, give yourself 5 minutes or however long, or write down everything you're overthinking about. And then we're going to focus on what you can actually do, what you can control. So this is about being able to calm those emotions. And it's not that you have to be in poses like either of these figures to find your calm and balance. It could be that you just go out and sit outside for a little bit, or you go for a hike, or you go for a drive, or you just sit in your room. You take a nap, whatever it is for you, but it's about finding that balance. So here's that last card that came out, which is the Two of Cups. So this is the end of our reading, because we've come right back around to what the initial focus was. How do you open yourself? I don't remember the full initial question, but how do you open yourself to those loving connections? And this is saying that's exactly how you do it. Part of it is you have to love yourself, all parts of yourself, all parts, not just any one part of yourself, and know that all parts of yourself are valid and they are also worthy. And people who are the right people will see that. And it's not that people who don't see that are the wrong people. It's just you're not meant to be in a relationship or some type of friendship, partnership, whatever it is at this time with them. Maybe you have some things that you're managing and learning about. They have some things. And so it's not a closed door unless there is like a serious situation in which, there's harm and things like that. But if not, there's growth that needs to happen. And so we block ourselves from opportunities that may present because sometimes we're feeling that vulnerability from the past and we're not feeling very confident. And we have to remember that, as I said, you are the key and you get to make the choices and decisions. So I encourage you, regardless of what you do this weekend, to take some time to focus on yourself and focus on the things that you want to bring more of into your life, or the things that you love about yourself that maybe you don't share with others. Just focus on what you need. What makes you feel good? What do you want? What comforts you? And when do you feel comfortable around other people? Just focus a little bit more on what is going to help you feel that nurturing and feel more confident. Feel like you don't have to just hide. All right. I hope that was helpful. That was a long reading, but it was pretty clear. And it makes sense why I wore my sunflower shirt today. It's all about confidence, growth, new beginnings. And while things may not be all love, light, sunshine, and rainbows, at the same time, it doesn't mean there aren't new beginnings and that we can't change no matter how old we are, what our situation is, or how stuck we may feel. Take care.